Hey, Wes from Avatar Off-Road here. Hey, we're introducing our new Pioneer roof rack for the Mercedes Sprinter. This will fit the NCV3 or your VS30s, and it should take you about 2 to 3 hours to install this thing. So we're going to go through the install right now. Here we go.
So we're going to start by we've got a front section here and a rear section. Front section is identified by the logo. Rear section is identified, it has a slight bend at the tail end of the vehicle. We're going to start by flipping this guy over, putting it on its back side. And we're going to take 3 of our roof rack mounting brackets, and they're going to get installed on these 3 locations where we have a stud. From our bolt kit, we're going to take 3 sets of 2 quarter 20 by 1 inch long flanged bolts, and we're going to install them up into the preset plus nut. We're going to run these in till they are just finger tight, and then we're going to repeat with all 3 brackets. Second, we're going to grab 3 of our quarter 20 flanged nuts and install them onto the stud sticking out for the lower bracket. Once those are down finger tight, we're going to take a 7/16 open-in wrench and tighten up the nut. Then we'll go back through with a 3/8 and tighten the bolts. Repeating the process for all 3 brackets. When this is stood on its side, this is how it's going to look when it's mounted. You're going to utilize any opposing pair of holes to put crossmember brackets in. We'll go over that later when we get this installed on the roof, but that is where you're going to install your roof rack. Every 2 inches, there's another hole option. Since all 4 sections utilize the same bracket, we are just going to repeat this exact same process on the other side of the front and both rear sections, placing our bracket in place, using a nut and 2 bolts to secure it into location. For the next step of the install, we're going to work on the front fairing section. This is the front fairing. This piece here is your light bar / stiffening plate. Connecting the 2 together, we have 6 brackets, 3 left and 3 right. They're indicated by little notches. This one has 1 notch, 2, and 3 notches. So 1 is going to start in the middle, and the flanges are going to go towards the inside. So 1, 2, and 3. And you'll repeat on the other side. Next, you grab your quarter 20 nuts, and you're going to fasten them to all of these existing studs. If you do have an impact, a 7/16 socket will make this go quite a lot faster. Always start them, however, by hand so you don't accidentally cross thread. Even if you're using an impact, it's always a good idea to go back through and verify that they truly are tight to the level you want. Next, we're gonna flip this thing up onto its head and we're gonna grab our light install. The reason it's built this way is so that should you want to add lights in the future, you can remove this guy from the top, install your lights, and run all your wiring through this nifty channel. There's also zip tie locations here, 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 and here to hold all your wires in place. And then you can reinstall this while it's on the roof. To help you identify where the brackets go, this upper panel is notched. So this has one notch corresponding to this bracket, which also has one notch. This has 2 and 3. This guy has 2 notches and 3 notches. Grab a 1/4-20 button head and a 7/32 Allen. And thread these together. You're going to repeat this on all of these holes across the top, 2 per bracket. It is easiest to start in the middle and work your way towards the outside. You are going to tighten down all of these bolts. And as I said earlier, this is a panel that can be removed even after the roof rack is installed, allowing you to mount new lights or change lights or just change things up in the future. Okay, so now that panel is installed, the last thing of the front install is to install the edge trim gasket across the front. The next step is going to be installing the edge trim gasket provided to you. Cut to length. I recommend starting from this point right here and going to the same point on the other side. You're going to install it with there's an edge grip and a bulb. You're going to install it with the bulb heading towards the inside where all the brackets are. That's going to provide the seal against the roof. So you're going to just kind of wiggle it on and press. And you're just going to use your thumb about every inch and just walk it in. I do not recommend using a hammer to press this on, as there's little metal clips on the inside that help maintain pressure and keep this from sliding off. And a hammer can overdrive those clips, splay them open, and then it won't grip hardly at all. So as fun as it is to press this on, just continuous pressure about every inch. So if your intent is to start kind of on the side, I recommend starting up here, right about where this large radius starts. It's a bit harder to get this section started because of the tight contour. So it takes a little bit more patience and a lot more oomph. Make sure you get that nice and seated. You may end up with a small kink in the gasket right in that one spot. That's okay. There you can see the end of one of the little clips. Okay. The front fairing section is now complete. Sized for a 40-inch curved light bar to mount from here to here, or you have option of either 5 or 6 pod lights. Our last sub-assembly is going to be assembling the rear fairing. Comes in two pieces. You have a stiffening panel and the actual fairing itself. You're going to use your 5/32 Allen, the 1/4-20 button heads, and you're going to start in the middle and again work your way to the outsides. The PEM nuts are already installed onto this panel, so all you have to do is get this in place. Those bolts now tightened down, your rear fairing section is now complete. Okay, so I wonder, is the middle bay... These are your track bolts. So the factory rail, these are going to slide directly in. You're going to take half of them on the driver's side and half of them on the passenger side, sliding them in from the rear, and we'll go show that next. So taking these 6 bracket, they're basically acting like a T-bolt. You're going to slide them in from the rear. This one already is done. This is the approximate spacing that you're going to be. You're going to just line them up with your brackets on the side rails. For each section, front, rear, on the sides, you're going to take up 6 of your 5/16 18 flange nuts. So it's going to be easiest if you start with one side doing the front section, then the rear section, moving to the other side doing the other front, then the other rear section. From there we're going to install then further the front fairing and the rear fairing. So starting with our driver's side front section, we're going to climb up our ladder. So you can kind of get a general layout of your brackets. Starting on 1, get both lined up. And there is our install. As far as location, look at the curve of the roof rack, and you're gonna match up right about there. Should be about a gap between the plastic cap and the front of the first bracket. We're gonna take our 5/16 18 nuts and start them in on our studs. Since we're just now getting things started, we're not going to final tighten all these. We're just going to get them snug so that this can still move just a little as we go and do our install. As we bring our second section into alignment, you're going to notice that there are some plus nuts here and holes here. We're going to take more 1/4-20 by 1 inch bolts, and we're going to connect these together. So taking our 1/4-20 bolt, using our 3/8 wrench, we're going to now tighten the front to the rear section. Alright, because we got this nice rubber trim on the front, you don't have to be super careful with the placement. Gonna take more of our 1/4-20 per side and tighten them down with a 3/8 wrench. When laying the rear fairing across, because there's no gasket on this section, you can either use that tiny little bit of tail that you cut off and put it here, or since everyone has a sweatshirt, just lay a sweatshirt on that section of the roof so you can set this on there nice and easy without scratching any paint. Then you're going to install on this side 2 of your 1/4-20 bolts. Thank you. To ensure the front fairing is in the correct place, before final tightening, we want to make sure there is approximately 1.5 inch gap between this front bracket and this piece of plastic for the stop. That'll give you a nice tight seal all the way across your fairing. The last thing is going to be doing a final tightening of all bolts. When it comes time to install the crossbars, our last piece of the puzzle, you're going to want to just figure out where you want them on your roof. We're going to take our 1/4-20 stainless steel carriage bolts, and we've got some push-on nuts. When they're installed, they're going to look like this. They're designed to not really come back off, and that's what that little keyway is for. They're going to slide in and down and hold in place while we set our crossbars. You're going to use every other hole as noted. So you're just going to put this on here. You're going to press it in till it's all the way down. Your crossbars, this is the bottom side up, but one side has a hole on the other end, and the other side is slotted. When you get up on the roof, you're going to take your 1/4-20s with the push nuts, and you're going to set them on one side only where you want them. Then you're going to, when you go to the other side and you set them, you're going to stab this into one side and drop it down onto the other. Now that we're on the roof, we're going to install our crossbars. You're going to take your carriage bolt with the little push nut that you've already installed, and you're going to choose where you would like it to be. We're going to pick any set. We're going to skip one. We're going to take it, it's going to slide in. That'll keep it held in place. Go to the next one. Slide it in. Then we're going to go to the other side. Find the exact same holes. Slide it in. Holes. The other has a slot. If you remember from our previous, you're going to take the hole in. You're going to stick it, stab it onto the one side, press it down onto the other. Now you can take your 1/4-20 nuts and install. Use your 7/16 wrench, tighten it up. This is now installed. Again, you're going to stab it over this side, install the nuts, swing it down and drop it onto the other side, and then install those nuts. You can place these at any 2-inch increments you want, starting here, going all the way to the front. That'll allow you to, if you have a roof vent here or there, you can place this crossbar just in front of or just behind